have some breaking news right now. KCAL is over a pursuit. This pursuit started in downtown. This is a pursuit of a stolen vehicle. We want to get over to our assignment desk manager, Mark Liu, tracking more developments, listening to the scanners and trying to gather more details. Assignment desk manager, Mark Liu, tracking more developments, listening to the scanners and trying to gather more details. Mark, what else do you know about this pursuit so far? Yeah, so this is LAPD officers from Central Division in pursuit of that white vehicle right there. They're calling it a stolen vehicle. That's the only want on that vehicle right now. Started just about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Now, these are officers from LAPD Central Division. You mentioned that correctly. It is started in the downtown area. That's where Central patrols. Now, you can see what maybe appears to be some damage on the side of that car. Unclear if that was a collision from before. We haven't heard of any reports of any collisions in this pursuit. Unknown how many people are in that car, described as a Toyota. No information on the occupant right now. But they do say that's a stolen vehicle. We're in the Elysian Park, sort of Silver Lake area. We were right around Dodger Stadium. Now we're heading sort of westbound off of surface streets in the Silver Lake area. Came up the 110, got off near Dodger Stadium, and now here we are. So that's an LAPD air unit overhead. That's the spotlight you see there. And there are LAPD Central officers. They're not very far out of their area. They're sort of in LAPD Northeast Division here, but you can see the driver here very clearly knows they are being chased and they are blowing through stop signs. We're seeing some very high-speed maneuvers on these really narrow roads in the Silver Lake area. It can get kind of hilly here. There's a lot of inclines and dips, and every now and again, Kalina and Christine, we're seeing sparks coming from the undercarriage of that Toyota. So this driver really aggressive here and trying to get away from police. But no one on the road this morning, as you can see, as it's only about 6 o'clock this morning here in these neighborhoods of Silver Lake. No one is out, but as we get closer to areas like this, say Griffith Park Boulevard, or as we get closer to say Silver Lake Boulevard, you might see some more traffic on these roads. But LAPD Central Division officers right behind this driver right now. You know, looking at this, one of my bigger concerns is the fact that those surface streets are so dark. There's literally no lighting, and if someone is waking up right now to head to their car, take a walk, take their dog out, it was just so dark in that neighborhood. You can see right now that vehicle getting onto the freeway here. It looks like the 101 freeway heading northbound through Silver Lake at the moment. And traffic-wise, we're not really seeing a lot of congestion here so far because it is so early in the morning. Usually for this stretch, we see some volume, but not a lot. And now, Mark, I know LAPD is following, but
he just hit that car.
That car did kind of move over, but do you know if CHP might be joining in this now that it's on the actual freeway? I have not heard of LAPD requests to CHP yet, but the longer this driver remains on a major highway like the 101, the more likelihood that CHP will start asking the LAPD, hey, do you want our involvement? I can also tell you that the air commander overhead and the watch commander have authorized the vehicles in this pursuit to use the pit maneuver if necessary and start looking for units in the area that have spike strips in the trunk. So this is a driver they want to get off the road quickly, so they are going to authorize those pursuit tactics here. Now, there hasn't really been an opportunity to use them yet. It's going to take a little time in order to set up a spike strip operation. And of course, a pit maneuver, that's going to be up to the lead officer in this pursuit if they are pit trained and if they see an opportunity to do that pit. Right now, it does not look like there is any good opportunities for a pit maneuver. They don't want to do that on the 101 freeway with all the cars around. They're going to be looking for a straight and narrow road at about 35 miles an hour with no other cars. Silver Lake really didn't offer that either. So now here we are back off the freeway here in the Hollywood area. This driver still very aggressive, not showing any signs of slowing down. Sometimes we've seen in pursuits where drivers stop, they get their bearings. This driver hard on the gas and hard on the brakes when they make those turns. So again, no clear direction on where this driver is going right now. But again, the only want on this car is that it's a stolen vehicle, and LAPD has not been able to give us any good information about who the driver is or if there's anyone else in the car, and that may be because they don't know themselves. It's dark out. There's tinted windows on the car. It may be difficult to tell who's inside.
And now we see a patrol car behind them. I just saw a patrol car around the corner. So we now have units on the ground too, and not just above. And you can see how recklessly he is driving. I think he either impacted or almost hit that car on the freeway, blowing through the stop signs, the stop lights, driving very fast, going over the double yellow lines. I think some sort of accident, as you pointed out, must have happened earlier, because I think the sparks are coming from that side of the car where you see the damage. So I think there's probably a lot of concern for the other people that this car is passing, because they clearly don't seem to have much concern for the others on the
road.
road.
I mean, is he really going 70 miles per hour down this surface street?
Yeah,
That's
these are
insane.
all residential streets
in
Hollywood with lots of high density apartment buildings, lots of people who are going to be coming out of their homes
but
to
also it's
walk
so
their dogs
dark.
before work.
It's so dark on these surface streets, and it's such a big concern for me, Mark. I'm not sure about you guys too, but just seeing people typically start their day right about this time, go to their car, head outside. A lot of people do park on the street in Hollywood if they don't have a parking garage attached to their place. So we do have video that we're rolling down at the bottom of your screen or actually the live video is at the bottom, right? Okay, so bottom left of your screen, you'll see the live video right now. This is the moment that Christine was talking about on the other side where you could see those sparks.
Yeah, and also I think we replayed where he came very close, or at least maybe even hit one of the cars on the 101 when he was weaving through traffic. So if you're in these areas, you're going to go in these areas, steer clear of the roads, because this driver does not seem to have any sort of concern for anybody else but himself.
Mark, you had mentioned
Whoa,
before.
Really close right there. Sorry, you were going to say, Kalina?
Okay. It's okay. Well, you had mentioned before about the spike strips, and we did have a pursuit just, a month or two ago where they did use the spike strips on the actual freeway, but that circumstance was it was very light on the freeway, not a lot of volume. The speeds and conditions were perfect for that moment. Are we seeing that yet? Are you hearing any more about, I know they said that you could, depending on the opportunity, but are we seeing that yet? Are you hearing more activity?
Not yet, Kalina and Christine. Spike strips are a case-by-case basis. It's going to be a decision made in conjunction with the units on the ground, the air commander and the watch commander, just determining when is a good opportunity. It may not happen in the near future here because of darkness. That's the other issue here, is that it's very risky for an officer to do that in the dark because they have to get out of their vehicle and put spike strips down. This is an issue of officer safety, especially with how dangerous this driver is maneuvering right now, oftentimes on the wrong side of the road, no clear set direction or path here. Sometimes it's easier to use spike strips when the driver returns to the same area over and over again, which we have seen pursuit drivers do when they go into a place that they feel more familiar with. But we have not seen anything like that now as we are in the mid-Wilshire area, still meandering through these streets. As you mentioned, very dark. More and more people are getting up to go to work right now. Certainly, this is a time when maybe drivers are a little bit drowsy. You're getting up for work, you've just had your coffee, and suddenly this white Toyota Avalon goes zipping by you at very high speed. It can be very startling. And certainly the way this driver is maneuvering right now, no regard for other traffic. And now we're seeing here into perhaps a gas station. He may just be cutting the corner here at Heightened and Melrose. Another bit of worrying information. We're hearing some radio traffic that LAPD has some information this driver may be armed. Now, it's unclear where they're getting that information from, but officers on the ground need to be aware. They have been made aware by the air commander that this driver may be armed, which is only going to ratchet up the tension here as they go down this alley back onto another street here. I believe this is Willoughby. But you saw, Christine, I think you were going to mention there's more sparks coming from the undercarriage of that car as this driver is just hard on the gas over these bumps, and when he comes back down, he's getting the undercarriage making contact with the road, and that's when you're getting those sparks there. It does appear that there is some damage on the side of that car, not from that collision that we saw on the freeway, but perhaps an earlier collision. I don't know if that was involved in the pursuit or not. We haven't heard radio traffic about that. But the fact that this driver is willing to collide with other cars and continue on also is a huge worrying concern for LAPD officers, because it shows this driver is ready to do anything to get away.
We just keep on seeing the sparks. If you're just joining us right now, we are following breaking news. This is a pursuit, LAPD in pursuit of a stolen vehicle that started off in downtown. It traveled through Elysian Park. Right now, it looks like we're traveling through Hollywood. Mark just mentioned that the person in the vehicle may be armed. It started off as a pursuit of a stolen vehicle, but we're still gathering more information. We have LAPD air unit overhead. This is a white vehicle that we've been watching just blowing through stop signs, traveling at very high speeds on surface streets, on freeways, nearly crashing with another vehicle. We've been seeing sparks come from the bottom of this vehicle the entire time as well. Just driving extremely recklessly throughout the area. And one of our biggest concerns around the surface streets was how very dark it was, with people starting their day, heading out to their cars, possibly parked in the street, and blowing through intersections and coming very close to hitting other drivers as well. I haven't seen much pedestrian traffic, so that's good news, because we have seen that before. before in the past when we have pursuits and people kind of gather, which makes it even more dangerous. That's not happening right now.
But he's on
just really
very
scary,
narrow streets, and we saw him going through, and more
sparks again. Yeah.
A lot of these streets have those like speed humps
yeah.
to keep people from driving fast. But we've seen this car going 50, 55 miles an hour in residential areas, and that's the real concern, because there doesn't seem to be. I mean, he's actually, driving. I don't want to say well, but he's good at getting through these intersections, which makes it dangerous because he's going right through red lights. He's not slowing at all. That obviously makes it dangerous for the people in the community.
Yeah, a little bit of new information also, Christine. It appears that, I thought I did see this. At one point, just about 5 or 6 minutes ago, it looked like perhaps the driver's side door opened, but it was dark and in the shadows. I couldn't tell. Now the air unit believes that the gun that they believe that driver may have been carrying was tossed at this point.
Yeah.
So we have a tossed gun. They have LAPD units looking for that weapon back where that door opened. They have not yet found it, but they are looking for it. The other bit of information is now that this driver is in the Hollywood area, it's a little bit better lighting, and the air unit is communicating to officers on the ground the possibility that at some major intersections, like say Sunset and Gower or Sunset and Vine, where there's good lighting, they may consider setting up spike strips if the driver goes through that area. They haven't done that yet, but this is an area where at least there's a little bit more illumination, which would add for officer safety. And they also don't want to, they want to make sure they don't accidentally spike strip a civilian. So these small neighborhood streets, we're probably not going to see a spike strip on, but if this driver goes to some of the majors like Sunset or Hollywood, we may see LAPD Hollywood Division units now assisting the Central Division units in this pursuit with that spike strip.
It does look like there's some damage to the side of that vehicle, but I hope they are able to get this under control before it heads to Hollywood Boulevard or possibly Sunset. We do know there's more volume there traffic-wise with people taking those surface streets to get to work, get to school, get to wherever they need to go. There's also a lot more pedestrian traffic in those areas too. Pretty close call right there, just running through that stop sign and getting onto the street. If you're just joining us once again, we've been watching this for probably the last 10, 15 minutes or so, traveling through downtown and then heading into Legion Park, now heading through Hollywood. It started off as LAPD in pursuit of a stolen vehicle. We do know that the person possibly had a weapon. That weapon, Mark was telling us, possibly tossed out of the window or the door when they opened the door. And just, I mean, Christine, we keep on blowing through those stop
and
signs.
Turning right in front of people.
It's really scary to see.
Thankfully, I think people tend to drive a little slower this time of morning because there is traffic, there is congestion. But we've seen so many near misses where this car is just turning right in front of people, running red lights, weaving in between lanes, crossing the double yellow lines, truly reckless driving. So, even if he is no longer armed, in the sense that Mark says it looks like he might have thrown the gun out the window or out the door earlier, he is driving a lethal weapon, essentially, in the way that he's coming down these streets.
And it's good that you point that out because, as people are waking up and heading out the door and taking a look at this, they'll want to be cautious.
Stopping.
Okay, he's stopping now, got out of the vehicle. Is he running? He's running down the street, Mark. He's taken off and looks like hiding behind some type of bush, or you can't even really make it out because there's a lot of trees and a home.
Yeah, so the air
too.
unit does have eyes on this person, and there is there are ground units nearby. They're vectoring in right now. There you can see it right at the top of the screen right there. They have a good description of the driver. The air unit was able to get his clothing description. They said the possibility he may be trying to run up onto the freeway. Okay, so that's probably a freeway on-ramp right there in Mariposa, at the 101 exit at Vermont, in Mariposa and Melrose, right? So,
but this does look like, is this a residential neighborhood?
Oh, there he is. They're tracking. The officer just got out, or is trying to get out of the car. You can see the gentleman is running behind the tree. It's blocked by the tree, but there he is right down there toward the bottom of your screen. Looks like a blue hat on, a jacket of some sort, and it looks like he's kind of losing steam right now as he's running down the street with the officer
and
so
now
close
the
behind
officer
too.
on the same side as him, and they're going to walk into that parking lot. I think it's an apartment building or a condo building, multi-unit housing there. And now we're seeing multiple patrol cars come. Lots of people living in this area. right here at Vermont Avenue.
Well, we're
right
focusing
alongside the 101.
The light is focusing in this particular area behind that tree.
In the wooded area.
But then it looks like some of the, so that's the officer with his flashlight looking through the area with the tree there. And then, like you said, we have some type of housing complex directly behind.
Is that him right there walking? Or
if that's him, he took off his
No,
hat and
these
his
are
jacket.
people
No, these
coming
are
out of
people
their
coming out of the
house.
home too. Mark, are you hearing anything else on the scanner or anything from our assignment desk too?
Yeah, the LAPD air unit says that they lost sight of the suspect under the trees, and they are looking. They do not have a code 4 yet. They do not have that suspect in custody yet, but they believe the suspect is still in the area. The air unit is directing ground units in to try and find that suspect. They don't. Oh, they spotted him. He's right there. He's on the freeway. That's him.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
yes.
jumping over that guardrail
He
right
was
there,
able
too.
to elude.
Ooh,
This is extremely
dangerous.
dangerous
Oh,
right
my
now.
he's
gosh.
putting his hands up, trying to get cars to stop.
Goodness. This is not good. He was able to cross that into what looks like the Gore Point,
now
going
he's gonna
around the
cross
area
more
too.
traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a challenging one for LAPD units to get over there. They are not going to run across the freeway. They're going to get back into their units and then vector their units in to try and take this guy into custody on the other side of the freeway. They won't be running across the freeway like this guy did, but the air unit continues to provide data to those units on the ground in order to get this guy. Looks like he's taking his jacket off right now.
The same thing,
And
yeah.
he's walking now. I'm sure he's tired, but he feels probably like he has enough distance from police. He's now in the wooded area on the other side of the freeway. And yes, you're correct. It looks like he took his jacket off. He's taking his hat off and trying to change his clothing.
But good, the LAPD overhead giving us this view with the light on him is really helping out when it comes to this pursuit and us following along as well. I did see that officers ran a traffic brake on the freeway, so I'm assuming they'll be running some type of brake to get them on the other side of the roadway as well to try to catch up to this person who's now hiding behind this tree. You can see his shoes underneath, the white sneakers underneath the palm tree. But the light still shining above him, so he definitely knows that he is still being tracked.
The LAPD air unit has communicated to the officers his change of clothes. So they are telling the units on the ground to be aware that he's supposed to be wearing a white jersey of some kind now. And you can already see there's a unit on the ground here near this cul-de-sac. They're going to probably wait for a few more units to get him into custody here, but the air unit does continue to have eyes on the suspect as he's walking. They say he's running towards that cul-de-sac right now. So the ground unit there is going to be in a good position to catch this suspect if he pops out from underneath that house. But he is now under those trees somewhere. It sounds like the air unit may have lost sight of him again.
Well, there's one of the officers driving down the road. I'm assuming all of that line of officers that we're seeing is trying to get access to this particular area. Now, especially when that person changed clothing into that white shirt. It looked like a Dodgers jersey to me.
Yeah, and you always worry when they're in these residential neighborhoods that he's going to try to go into one of the homes or apartments with an unlocked door and hide in there. So if you live in this area, it's always a good time to double check that your doors are locked.
And we did see people come out of the area, which was confusing.
Is that him running?
I think that
there
was
was
an
a ground
officer,
unit
actually.
who just said on the radio, "I'm making contact with the suspect right now."
Okay.
So there must be a ground
we
unit
just
down
saw
there that
someone
sees.
running into the cul-de-sac.
But I feel like that must have happened in a different location if that officer was just running through. We'll have to wait and confirm with Mark as he continues to gather more information. But this is the essential area, Kenmore Avenue and Melrose Avenue in Hollywood, where we have seen
There's an officer.
activity here. There's that suspect. Yep. So that officer now walking that suspect, putting him in the back of the vehicle or on the back of the hood of the car, handcuffing this individual and, making this pursuit come to an end in Hollywood this morning.
And we are very lucky that it looks like no one else got hurt because he was driving very fast through very narrow streets.
Oh yeah, running through stoplights and stop signs, nearly missing vehicles, pretty much hitting one car on the roadway too, and we saw sparks coming out from the bottom of the vehicle the entire time as well. He ran for quite some time over the freeway, nearly getting hit by vehicles trying to cross the freeway onto the other side. But again, this coming to an end in what appears to be some type of cul-de-sac in Hollywood this morning, with LAPD officers on ground taking that suspect into custody this morning. All right, we were going to continue to gather more information on this. Mark Liu is working on that. We do know that that suspect possibly had a weapon, so we're going to gather more information when it comes to that as well.